Hello Cartoon Head, this is Rick Malava, CTB RAM in the forums for simplymaya.com, and I was looking at your post. I responded with a very simple answer here. In your post here, you're trying to create this panel and you want to boolean these holes into it, which is not uncommon. It's most of the time we try to do things in 3D the way that we do them in real life. So you start out with the board and you get your drill out and you drill holes in it. But another way to think about doing this, the problem when you do it this way, I should point out, is that now you've got this gigantic end gun here with all these holes in it, and your next step you'd have to really go in, if you want this to hold up through smoothing, is you'd have to go in and try to connect all this geometry up and keep the topology clean, and then add support edges in where you'd need the support edges so that this stuff will smooth properly. So another way to think about doing this, instead of starting with the surface and drilling the holes in using a boolean, just start with a single element. This is a very simple flat trapezoidal plane here. So what I would say, and since we intend to smooth it, is just start with something simple like a six-sided polygon, a cylinder. Get rid of the end caps. So we create this end gun on the top. We'll clean that up later if we have to. Actually, we won't have to, because this will eventually be the hole. So we're going to start with a hole and build everything else around it. So we'll take the faces and delete them. All we need is the top surface. That will be the hole. So I'll pick this guy, go to Object Mode, center the pivot, and holding the X key down, I'll snap it to that origin of the axis here. So now what I'll do is take this edge, and I'm going to do an extrude, and I'm just going to offset it. What you can do here is double click on this little what looks like an axis symbol up here in the corner, and to start, this little pie shape will look like something like this. If you double click it, you get the little tiny pie wedge, and then click that axis again. That slows down your drag rate when you try to scrub things. It's the equivalent of holding down Edit and going to Settings and selecting Slow. So now when I go down to Offset, I can hold the middle mouse button and I can scrub it back and forth. Whoops. It didn't like me scrubbing it that fast, I guess. Let's undo that. And let's extrude that again, select Offset, and you can see I can scrub it out. All I need it is to come out a little bit. Now what I want to do is I want to make a square tile, and I want to duplicate it 7 times and make 2 rows of 7 and then 1 row of 5 at the bottom. So let's use the coordinate that I have. This is the default grid that I have set up here, and so what I'll do is take this whole thing and scale it, holding the control button down and then dragging on the y-axis. I can constrain the way that it scales, so that it scales in just the ZX plane there. And I'll make the hole kind of the size that I want it to be relative to the square that it's going to occupy. Maybe a little bigger. Okay, and then what I can do is come in here and grab these vertices one by one and just snap them to the grid. I'll hold the X key down and middle mouse drag these vertices where I need them to be. Okay. Now when we smooth this, we want to try to hold this edge here. So before I delete this face, I'm going to take it and extrude it one more time, and I'm just going to offset it inward just a little bit, and then I'll delete that hole. And now you'll see when I smooth this, I get a circle here. Don't worry about these edges rounding out. We'll fix that at the very end. So now I have a single tile with a hole in it that's going to be uniform. It has all quad geometry around the hole. Now if this surface was going to curve, I would change this geometry a little bit, and I would try to remove these diagonals so that this geometry ran both horizontally and vertically, so that if I was to curve this surface, I wouldn't get any kind of strange distortion around where these diagonals are. And if you want to get some more information on that, there's another tutorial that I did on here, or another work in progress thread, where I was just exploring putting holes in cylinders, and you can see the effect of curving a surface with these diagonal edges in here. But in your case, your surface isn't curved, so we don't have to worry about it. So now we have one tile. I'm going to go once again and I'm going to hold the D key down and then I'll drag the Z axis here and I'm going to hold the C key down and then middle mouse snap the whole thing to that edge. And now what I can do is duplicate this guy and then holding the C key down I can snap it to there and then I can hold Shift D down and do that 5 more times. So there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 faces now. So there we have one row done. Now what I can do is come in here and well, first what I'll do is once again hold that D key down, drag the X key, hold the C key down again and drag it so that it's up against that edge, and now I can hold the Control D, duplicate again, and then snap the whole thing to this edge. And then let's just hold Shift D and do that one more time, and then we can get rid of well, the way we can do this is grab this edge here and this edge here. Oh wait, first what we'll do, these are all separate tiles at this point still, so let's select everybody and combine them and then go into vertice mode, select all the vertices and let's merge them. And oh, you know what, it didn't it didn't snap those properly. Let me see why. If I take this guy W and I snap it to this edge, drag it and X and snap it to here, and then Shift D, and then let's again pull it out to here and curve snap it to here. Okay, it just didn't. It snapped to a strange edge when I copied these down the last time. So now let's take everything and let's combine them. And then now let's take all the vertices and merge them. Okay, make sure it didn't collapse these little support edges, and it didn't. Now, we don't need these holes on the end here, so what I can do for that, there's a bazillion different ways you can solve this problem, but I'm just going to, for now, come in here and fill this hole. Come over here and fill this hole. And then I could either leave this geometry in so that it was uniform, or now what I can do is just come in here and say select all these edges and just all but this one, delete them. Oh, that won't do it either. If I just hit delete, now I'll have floating vertices. Oh, maybe not. Oh, that works, but I'm going to have a problem here I'll have to come in and fix. I'll show you that in a second. So once again, just come in here, select all these edges, hit delete, and now what I've got to do is I've got an edge that comes to this edge right here. That edge, let me hide this so I get the grid out of the way. So this edge comes into this edge, and I've got an n-gon here now. So what I'll do is just use the split polygon tool, throw a split in from here to here, and then after I do the split, let's hit select this vertex. Oh, what do you know, I got a vertex here that got left behind, so that actually works to our advantage, because what I'll do is just hold the hit W and then hold the V key and snap. Right, I can take this vertex and snap it. Actually, what I can do even better than that is go to Merge Vertex Tool, and then I can just snap this vertex to that vertex, and that gets rid of that floating vertex there. So do the same thing over here. Split polygon, take it from here, and actually since the vertex is there, I can actually just drag it to the vertex, and then now I don't have any floating vertices. Let's make sure of that. Okay, I don't see any vertices floating that aren't connected, and I've got all quad geometry, quad here, all of the quads, that's basically a quad around each of these tiles. And so that's getting us close, except we're getting this rounding at this end and it's square at this end, and that's because we've got this diagonal coming into the corner here. So when Maya smooths this, it interpolates between the three vertices or three edges, so it's basically averaging the surface out between these 3 points, and you get this little rounding here. So let's fix that up, because your surface is square, right? So let's do that. But before we let's do it now. We'll do this other part next. Let's take this edge from here to here, And I can do this, I think, in one shot. This edge from here to here, and this edge from here to here. No, because it's going to try to complete all the way around, so it's okay. We'll just do it in 4 steps. Take these 2 edges and extrude them. And I'm just gonna do this quickly, so I'm just gonna eyeball it. So that gives me a support edge there, and then take from here to here and extrude it. And I'm clicking on this little doojiggers right here, and that just changes the extrude axis to the global axis, or global coordinate system. So that makes sure that I'm pulling it out straight along this x-axis here. So that's a support edge there, and then now if I come and put an edge from here to here, and just hit the G key to repeat last command, click that little control up there, drag it out a little bit to give it some thickness, and then finally come over here, grab this edge from here to here, and then extrude this guy out from here to here. Right? Now this is essentially what you could have done with your model, except you drill all these holes in, and then now you'd be splitting edges between all of this stuff and trying to create this nice uniform geometry topology manually. Some people can do that very quickly. I tend to just like to create one element that has the correct kind of topology and then just duplicate it where there's symmetry, and you can take advantage of something like that. So now if I took this surface and I smooth it, you see you get nice square corners and circles that are going to be nice and clean in the center. All we have to do now is add some thickness and also change the geometry a little bit more, because in your model, once again, you've got these edges are actually kind of diagonal along here. So let me show you how you can do that. We can do that with a deformer. We'll come in here, grab these verts, and then add a lattice. Deformer, go into animation, animate. Where's that? Oh, deformers, I'm sorry. Create deformers. Lattice deformer, excuse me. And now come up to the lattice deformer and change this to 222. If I just click anywhere out here with the lattice selected, I can select lattice point. You can see these are the lattice points. Right? And I actually want to back up a couple steps because I want to do this symmetrically once again. So let's go Z, 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 Z. Z, okay, and so once again I want to select these these verts, and then these verts over here. And then put a lattice around those. So go to create deformer, lattice, click out here, lattice points, and now what I can do is select these 2 points up here, go R. See, that changes that shape there. Take these guys here and do that. And then let me show why we're getting that little distortion there and how we can fix it. So what's happening is I've got these verts from this edge coming down, so I can still keep this angle that I've got the way that I'm doing this. And then all I have to do is pick the surface. We'll just clean up this little mess down here. I could fix this by a couple of ways. I could also go back and just not collapse it to the point where it intersects with these vertices here. I can also do this. Select these verts in addition to that. And just do something like that if I wanted to get this tighter. But that's probably tighter than what you've got yours anyway, so we'll just do that with it. Once again, pick the lattice, and lattice points, and just tweak this a little bit more because I'm always finicky to get it shaped like that. And there you go. Well, now if we smooth this, turn off the show wireframe. There you go. Now all you have to do is add some thickness to it, and that's real easy. We'll just take this whole thing and we'll take that smooth off of it. We'll extrude it, and what I'll do is I'll add a small thickness like 2/10 of an inch, 2/10 of a centimeter, I should say, because I'm just using the default unit, so that's a centimeter. These are in centimeters, and then do an extrude again. The thickness 0.2. I got Rain Man disease or something today here. I'm fumbling around more than I normally do. So let's get some screen back here. And then now all this is going to do is give us a control edge as we come around the corner, and I'll explain how that's working shortly. So now what we do is do an extrude again. And this time let's give it like 0.8, make it thick. And then I need to do one more extrude so that I can put another control edge on the inside of these loops. So I'm kind of doing a whole bunch of control edges in one felled swoop here. So I can hit the G key to duplicate that, and then this time we'll put another 0.2, right? And there you go. So now if we look at this, as we go into these circles, you've got an edge, an edge, and an edge, and when it smooths this, will just smooth between these three edges, and that's where you'll get the roundness around these edges when you smooth them. So now if I smooth this whole surface, it looks like that, right? And then the last thing you have to do is, if you don't need the bottom of the surface here, let's remove that lattice deformer that's been on there for this whole time by deleting the history on this thing. And then all you have to do now is from the side view, we really don't need the control edge or anything at the bottom of this unless you intend to actually have some surface on the bottom of this. So I can come in here and just grab all of these faces and then deselect these faces and then just delete that whole thing. Right, so now it's like this, and I can smooth this. Right, now you just take this component, right? You scale it to the correct size, center its pivot, you scale it to the right size, you put it at the angle you need it to be at, and you add it into your panel, and now you just have to basically design your panel I've got this. This is a problem that's been happening with my 2012. I'm in this state now. I'm going to hit the W key, and you should see the translate manipulator pop up. But you see it goes to translate mode, but the manipulator doesn't show up until I actually take the model and move it, and then all of a sudden things pop up. Very frustrating. I don't know what's causing it, but it's very annoying. Anyway, now you just take this thing and you just plug it into your panel, and you take these edges, and if you want these to go into the surface and be closed, you can cap these off and add a support edge in and make them as deep as you want the holes to be. But you've got a nice clean geometry here. So that's the way that's one way you can do it. There's lots of different ways. Boolean would work. It's just, to me, it seems like there's a lot more effort to draw the topology in after booleaning the holes in than it would be to start out with a cylinder and just build a nice clean tile with the right geometry and go from there. I hope this helps you out. Thanks a lot.